In today's halacha, we will discuss a few details within the law discussed in the previous year with regards to the saying of Ledavid Hashem Eiri within davening. So we said that our minhag is to say it both in Shachar and Mincha, as opposed to others to say it in Ma'ariv. Within Mincha, the area that the Alter Rebbe placed the saying of Ledavid Hashem Eiri is directly prior to Aleinu. So the Chazan recites Kaddish with his Kabel after Tachanun, and then immediately Ledavid is begun, and after Ledavid is completed, the congregation says Aleinu together. The question is asked with regards to a person who is davening in a minyan, in which their custom is to say Ledavid after Aleinu, and not before Aleinu. And this is the custom of many Hasidic shuls, and of Ashkenazi Jewry, that they don't say Ledavid before Aleinu. So the question is, a Lubavitcher that is davening Nusach Arizal, what is he to do? Should he say Aleinu together with the congregation, and then say Ledavid, in order so he doesn't swerve from the custom of the congregation, but by doing so he is swerving from his own personal custom and the nusach of his siddur that he davens in? Or should he follow his nusach and not pay any attention to what the congregation is doing? And thus, while the congregation is saying Aleinu after Kaddish, he will be saying Ledavid after Kaddish. So, in one of the Paiskim that dealt with this question, one of the Paiskim of today, with Moshe Halberstam, the Divrei Moshe, and Simon Lamed Daled, he was asked the question by Lubavitcher of Dov Slonim of Yerushalayim, and he answered him with a lengthy discussion with regards to the Issa of Leisis Gaidudu. Leisis Gaidudu is a verse in Chumash that teaches us that you're not allowed to make different camps within Judaism. Meaning you're not allowed to have different sects. Now, even though today, Baruch Hashem, we have many sects of Orthodox Jewry, but this is referring to in the same community itself. In the same community of a specific sect, you shouldn't be doing different customs. So this is the question. When does this prohibition of Leisis Gaidudu, of making different laws for different people, apply? Does it apply even in the case of davening? So he proves and went over there that there is absolutely no prohibition in a person davening his own nusach while the congregation is davening their nusach. And this is Ma'asim B'chol Yom. This applies daily, that people daven in minyanim that follow a different nusach, and we rule that there's absolutely no problem in davening a different nusach. So someone who davens Nusach Arizal continues to do so throughout the entire time. So he concludes that based on all this, absolutely one should continue with his minhag, and therefore while the congregation is saying Aleinu, he should say Ledavid and then say Aleinu. However, the Rebbe, in a letter, was also addressed with this same question by a Lubavitcher in Yerushalayim, and the Rebbe answered as follows. This is from Igros Kodesh, Chelik Yotes, page 430. The Rebbe answered B'shei Losik, regarding your question of what to do when you're davening mincha by a different community minyan. You should say Aleinu together with the congregation, and only afterwards say Ledavid with the congregation. The opposite of what the Divrei Moshe ruled. This is a very interesting ruling of the Rebbe, because clearly we rule that everyone follows their own nusach, and the Rebbe himself agrees to that, as is clearly seen from the fact that even when someone davens in the Ashkenazi minyan, they don't change the order of Haidu. Ashkenazim say Haidu after Baruch Shama, but we continue to say Haidu before Baruch Shama, and there's no problem of causing machlokes. So why suddenly, when it comes to Ledavid, does the Rebbe write that you should first say Ledavid, you should first say Aleinu with the minyan, and then say Ledavid? So the explanation is as follows. There's a halacha brought in Achreinim in the Machzis HaShekel in chapter 65, that when the congregation reaches Aleinu, an individual that is part of the congregation should say it together with him. In other words, that there's certain parts of davening that is required for everyone to recite together. And one of these parts of davening is Aleinu. And this is based on the halacha in the Shulchanaruchharav, that the Alter Rebbe paskins, the Alter Rebbe rules in chapter 65. He rules that when the congregation is reciting Tehillah Ledavid, which is Ashrei, everyone should recite it together with them, because it's Derech Eretz. meaning it's improper while the congregation is reciting this mizmar for an individual not to join them. He repeats this halacha also in chapter 109, halacha 2, and he states that when the congregation is bowing during Aleinu, an individual should also bow. Why? Because it's improper when everyone is doing this act of nullification to Hashem and expressing it in public that an individual should not join them. So the Machzis HaShekel takes this a step further and states that when the congregation says Aleinu, everyone should say Aleinu together with the congregation. If they are in an area that they are allowed to stop, like they're before davening or they're after Shemina Esrei, that they can stop and say Aleinu. This ruling is not brought in previous Paiskim, but it is accepted, and therefore the minhag is that when the congregation says Aleinu, individuals join them for the saying of Aleinu. So the Rebbe, without going into the whole details of doing a different nusach in the same shul, was speaking of a totally different matter. That there's a halacha that we follow, that we say Aleinu together with the congregation. And therefore, a person that's in a minyan that's not having the same nusach first recites Aleinu with the congregation, and then afterwards recites Ledavid. With regards to another question that relates to Ledavid, that in our nusach we hold off all the Kadeshim, the Kaddish Yasams, until after Shir Shal Yom and Ledavid and Shachris, and until Ledavid and Aleinu in Mincha. We don't make a break of Kaddish between Shir Shal Yom and Ledavid. In other communities, they are accustomed to say Kaddish Yasam after Shir Shal Yom, and then say another Kaddish Yasam after Ledavid. This minhag of ours is brought in the Shara Koilo, and it's actually brought in the name of Reb Hillel Parachah, a famous Chabad Chassid, in the times of the Tzemach Tzedek. And it's recorded in Sefer HaMinhagim. And the reason for this is because in general we rule that a person has to diminish in the amount of Kaddish in the same way we diminish in brachas. A Kaddish is so holy that it's considered like a bracha. And the same way we're not allowed to say a bracha in vain, or a bracha that's not necessary, so too you can't say a Kaddish in vain or a Kaddish that's not necessary. And since we are able to say the Kaddish Yasam after saying Ledavid also after Shir Shal Yom, so we save the Kaddish Yasam for afterwards. On Rosh Chodesh, we recite Ledavid Hashem Eiri only after first saying Shir Shal Yom and the capital of Baruch Nafshi that's always said on Rosh Chodesh. The reason for this is because Baruch Nafshi is more commonly said than Ledavid Hashem Eiri, meaning it comes once every single month. Ledavid Hashem Eiri is only recited in 1 month out of the year, and therefore we proceed Baruch Nafshi to Ledavid Hashem Eiri. So is ruled in the Mishnah Brura, in the Matei Ephraim, and is also hinted to in Luach Keil Chabad. But here too we see that the Kadeshim are all pushed off until we finish saying all three of these paragraphs, Shir Shal Yom, Baruch Nafshi, and Ledavid, in order not to increase in Kadeshim. We're going to conclude with the Segulas, the great Segulas that are found and that are said regarding Ledavid Hashem Eiri. It says that someone who recites Ledavid Hashem Eiri from Rosh Chodesh El until Simchas Torah is able to tear away any evil decree which is placed upon him. So strong is this capital of Tehillim that it can gain him acquittal from judgment. So is written by the Shein Tev Katan and one of the students of the Arizal. Another Segula brought down is that Ledavid banishes Klipis, evil forces, and prosecuting angels. As is brought in the Siddur of Rav Shapsi, also brought in Shara Koilel and other students of the Arizal. As well, it's brought down that during the month of Elul, we know there's a revelation to give Midas Harachim. These 13 attributes of mercy can allow, God forbid, also evil, also the Chitzainin to receive nurture. So because of this, we say the capital of Ledavid Hashem Eiri in order to banish the nurture from all the evil forces. So all in all, we learned the details of the minhag of saying Ledavid Hashem Eiri, its source, when it's said, what to do in a different minyan, and the importance and greatness of saying this mizmah. In today's halacha, we're going to discuss the details of the mizmar that is customary to add during the month of Elul within Shachris and Mincha of Ledavid Hashem Eiri. We're going to go into the background